All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Depp, I'd like to start with the honeymoon that you and Ms. Heard took in late July 2015.
Certainly.
You testify that you took a train ride from Bangkok to Singapore. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you claim that on this train ride that Ms. Heard hit you in the face, correct?
Yes.
And left a black eye, correct?
Yes.
And Michelle, could you please pull up PX 162?
Is that already in evidence?
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Published to the jury?
Thank you. Mr. Depp, this is the picture that your counsel showed you both in your prior, or showed you this morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that mark under your left eye is what you claim to be a black eye caused by Ms. Heard, correct?
Seems to be there's some scratches around my nose as well.
Okay. All right. But that it's your left eye, the one close to the chef. That's what you says your black eye, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was the picture your team chose to show you, right? Let's pull up exhibit 1905, Michelle, please.
I'm sorry, which number was it?
This is a new exhibit, Your Honor, 1905.
That's
In fact, Johnny had two black
And it's
eyes
exhibit
on
1905.
that train.
Ask for permission to publish, Your Honor.
Oh, you want to put it in evidence? Okay. Any objection to 1905?
With the comments, we have no objection to the photograph itself. We would ask the comments be redacted as hearsay.
Well, I'd like to at least question the witness about the
I
comments.
have no objection to the photograph being published.
Okay, well, let's wait a minute. Mr. Depp, you see here, these are 4 pictures of you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and below it, they indicate that they were taken on July 24th, 2015 in Bangkok, Thailand, correct?
Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
In Bangkok, Thailand, so before the train ride.
Correct, before the train ride, because you
Yeah.
didn't get on the train ride till the 25th, is that right?
I somewhere in that area, I guess.
Okay, Your Honor, I'd ask for permission to publish this to the jury.
All right.
If it's just the photographs, we have no
All
objection.
right. If you want to redact the, just have the photographs in it.
Sure, we'll do 1905.
5, but just with redaction, sure it'll be fine.
He's dripping with anticipation over this cross exam. I don't know if they cut my sandwich. Look at this freaking thing.
I think there's still some on the bottom. I'm not sure.
It's just redacted.
Subway or Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's.
No Juicy Smollett business.
Subway's trash.
This is MAGA country. I can't trust it. Redact the freaking timestamps, Rottenborn. Redact them. Why is this taking so long? Over on Rumble, Jennifer Ishio.
All right.
Damn it.
Publish.
Right. I could have.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle, could you please scroll down to the bottom 2 pictures there? Mr. Depp, in these pictures that were taken before you got on the train ride for your honeymoon, where you claim that Miss Heard hit you and gave you a black eye, you have the exact same shadow or sunburn or mark under your left eye. The exact same mark, don't you?
That's the when you get a side light, you see the occipital bone. So that is the exact area.
Yep. And it's actually
A side light will cause that.
yeah. Well, the
well.
picture's not being taken from the side, is it? It's being taken
No,
head
no,
on,
no, no,
isn't it?
no, no, no. the lens in front,
Yeah.
the light on the side, which was the occipital bone, I believe it's called,
Mhm.
to
Shadow.
appear sunken. And-
Just like lights on the side of a train car, correct?
Objection
Well,
calls for
You
speculation.
can take that down, Michelle.
that was in fact in the dark.
Sus-
I had a
sustain.
shepherd people on either side of me, so
We can
I
wait for
don't
next-
see where the light fill is from the
Don't-
side there.
Mr.
Don't
Depp,
object,
wait for
let
the
him
next
answer
question,
that
next
one.
question.
Next question.
Sorry.
Even the picture your team chose to show you on that train isn't accurate, is it? Let's pull up.
Objection
exhibit-
calls for
let-
speculation.
Let's pull up exhibit 1859, please.
1859, is that in evidence?
No, Your Honor.
You better
This
be
is a-
100% right when you're going to
Mr. Depp,
accuse someone of
this is
photoshopping.
the same picture, or the same, the exact same scene displayed in PX 162 that you looked at this morning, correct?
That looks like my face has been, the eyes have been photoshopped.
Oh, okay. All right, so this post from the Eastern and Oriental Express's Facebook page, you're saying that that's photoshopped?
Is
Let's
that from
pull
their
them up
page?
side
I
by
would, sure, why wouldn't they?
Let's pull them up side by side, please. Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of this exhibit. We can just have the pictures. We don't
Objection,
need
no
the-
foundation.
Any
No
objection?
foundation.
Objection, lack of foundation, lack
Yeah.
of justification.
Yeah. He just pulled it out of the air.
Mr. Depp.
It is me, but it's clearly,
Your
It's
Honor,
been-
I'd move to
it's
strike
been-
anything after that, first of all.
Getting
And
testy.
with
It's not
ask
true and
permission-
correct.
should be done
Is
at-
it true and correct?
Just a photograph?
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna,
We maintain our lack of authentication, lack of foundation.
all right, over objection, I'll allow 1859. in
Thank you, Your Honor.
evidence.
Michelle,
that
could I
should be
please
brought to
get you
sidebar and argued.
to-
You need to redact it first.
We actually have one, it's, that will admit, or ask to be admitted as 1858. That
The
is.
paralegal just pulled it off of
Yeah.
Facebook and
Okay,
tried
so
to
we'll call
have it
this
entered into
18.
evidence.
Yeah, who authenticated
So
it?
this is 1859.
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody has authenticated.
Nobody authenticated.
Okay.
They should have really brought that to
We'll
sidebar and
fix
argued
exhibit
that
sticker on the bottom
vigorously.
and Get you that correct 1859.
But yes, what a business hosting Johnny Depp on
And
their train
Michelle, what I'd
might
like
be
to ask you to do,
motivated to
please, is to
Photoshop a
put
bruise off of his
The
face.
picture
You think?
displayed as 1859
Or just generally fix their faces.
was admitted into evidence next to PX 162 that was shown to Mr. Depp this morning.
Ride our train, get a shiner.
With an evidence.
Can you try to make them the same size, please? This is the exact same picture, isn't it, Mr. Depp?
Everything's cleaned up.
radically different quality.
Yeah.
And
No, you answered my question.
how
Permission
do
to
you know I
publish.
wasn't done?
It's not the exact same
You answered
picture.
my question, sir. Thank
No.
you. Appreciate
No.
it.
You're very welcome.
You notice he still has a mark under his eye here, though.
Yeah.
It's still
yeah.
there.
Yep.
Mr. Depp, you had that, whatever mark it is, whether it's a sunburn, whether it's a shadow, whether it's the light reflecting, you had that same mark on your eye before you got on that train.
Not the same mark.
It's pretty difficult to get a sunburn on a train.
But
And
let's
in the
go-
photographs with the child, I don't look particularly sunburned. Can we see those again?
Let's pull up exhibit one. Actually, no, let's talk about Australia for a little bit.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Change the
good.
subject.
You've never done ecstasy more than a handful of times in your life, correct?
It said like 20.
6, 7 times.
Now, you heard Miss Heard's testimony. You've been sitting here. I know you didn't look at her, but you heard her testimony. And
Oh, I
you heard her. You didn't hear her say you ingested 8 to 10 all at once. She said she came down after being apart from you for some time, and there were 8 to 10 gone from the bag, correct?
Objection form compound.
Overruled.
I also heard Miss Heard say I reached into a bag and poured a bunch of
Yep,
MDMA down my mouth.
correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
A
She didn't say you
handful.
poured
That's
10
right.
did
Oh,
she?
she said a handful,
Okay.
which is more than 10, I believe.
Okay, the fact is, Mr. Depp, you were asking for ecstasy. You who have only done it 6 times in your life, you were asking for ecstasy and cocaine within minutes of being admitted to the hospital after suffering your finger injury, weren't you?
Objection compound.
I don't recall that I was
Overruled.
Let's
begging
pull up,
for any drugs.
yeah, let's pull up plaintiff's or exhibit 393, please. You just said you don't recall you were begging for any drugs.
No, I don't, but I do
okay.
recall being in great pain and great distress, so
Okay,
I could have asked for a teddy bear as well.
okay. So this has been admitted, Your Honor.
This is an evidence, okay, and publish.
Rottenborn's just coming across as kind of frantic here.
And if you can blow up
This
the text,
is-
please, Michelle.
Every time he says,
In
okay,
this-
okay, okay.
Text message, Mr. Depp. You are, after you suffered your finger injury, you just testified you don't recall asking for any drugs. You're texting Nathan Holmes, your personal assistant, need more Whitey stuff ASAP, brother man, and the e-business. Now, we went over this in your cross-examination, didn't we?
If you say so, sir,
And Whitey stuff is cocaine,
I would say.
and the e-business is ecstasy. You already
Yeah,
testified.
quite likely, yes.
Okay.
So I
Take that.
didn't recall that.
Thank you.
But
Can you pull up Exhibit 1817, please? This is a picture that you were shown this morning, Mr. Depp,
yes,
and you kind of made some illustrations on the picture and gave your account of what you see here. Mr. Depp, you testified previously that the vodka bottle that you allege cut off your finger was a handle of vodka, correct?
yes.
You've already
The
testified to that,
second
correct?
bottle, there was a handle on it, bottle,
Right.
yes.
This bottle, whatever it is, to the extent it's glass at all, that's in the corner of this room, that's not a handle of vodka.
Objection calls for speculation.
I think you'll find that I said 2 bottles.
Well, actually,
From-
what you testified to this morning, Mr. Depp, was that the bottle in the corner was the handle. And there is no other
No,
bottle
no.
in the picture, is there?
No, that's not what I testified. I testified that, may I touch the screen?
Yes.
It's a handle of alcohol.
Yeah.
What even is this cross?
Is glass.
And that's
Okay.
not a handle. Neither of those are handles of vodka.
It's that big, it's broken. The handles up the top on those vodka bottles, sir.
Yeah.
I mean,
And none, if you combine all that glass on the floor, that doesn't make up
Oh.
a glass and a handle of vodka.
Idiotic.
Objection calls for
This is-
speculation.
I'm not a,
When there's objection, hold on. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
There is no picture of a handle of vodka broken on that floor, is there, Mr. Depp?
no, I don't see it. I see glass under this chair here.
Okay. Well, you testified this morning that you did see it, so it's good to get that clarification. Let's move
No, I
on.
didn't say I saw a handle.
You also testified this morning that, yeah, and I want to get this, I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
And it is possible that
Yes.
handles don't have actual
There
handles.
was no phone in the bar area downstairs. Is that what you testified to?
I don't recall a phone in the bar area.
Okay,
I don't recall a Bakelite phone in the bar area where
okay.
no.
Let's pull up, Michelle, please.
It's going to show the other phone.
Page 4.
This kind of frantic paced questioning is just so
We've done this drill before.
weak.
This is your testimony from the UK, correct?
Can I please have,
It's this, we don't have copies for everyone. It's on the screen
Your
right
Honor, may I
there.
please, I would like to have what.
The
he's-
copy?
the Testimony of the witness.
We don't have copies for everybody.
We don't have testimony. You just have to
Mr.
have
Depp, you
one.
remember giving testimony
copy
in the
for
UK
them.
trial for several days, correct?
Okay, so yeah, okay, here.
Yeah.
So I do remember a telephone in the bar area, and this
Yeah, well,
telephone you picked up was
the-
made of Bakelite.
This is my turn to do this, Mr. Depp.
I'm sorry.
On page 421, line 19, you were asked the question, and this telephone that you picked up was made of, I'm sorry, I'm going to go up line 15. Question, at one stage when you were in the kitchen screaming at Miss Heard, you picked up a wall-mounted telephone. Do you remember a telephone in the kitchen? Answer, no ma'am, I remember a telephone in the bar area. Question, and this telephone that you picked up was made of Bakelite. Do you know what I mean by that? A retro telephone, wall-mounted but retro. Answer, it was a wall-mounted telephone, but it was not Bakelite. It was a modern phone. It was plastic. Question, a phone that was a wall-mounted phone that was picked up. Can you scroll down, please? Question, a phone that was a wall-mounted phone that was picked up by you, held in your right hand, and you were repeatedly smashing it against the wall in your right hand. Answer, that is possible. But I do not, if that is the case, I do not believe I spent very much time on the phone. I remember ripping the phone off the wall. That was your testimony, correct?
It seems it would be yes.
Thank you.
I,
Answer my question. Thank you. Mr. Depp, you've claimed before, you've said, if I'm angry and I've got to lash out or hit somebody, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what the repercussions are. Anger doesn't pay rent. It's got to go. It's got to be evicted. You've said that before, haven't you?
have you a quote from me somewhere saying that?
It's my question to you. You've said that before, haven't you? Well, actually, let's refresh your recollection. Can you pull up
Be great.
the Ghost in the Machine?
That'd be great.
Possibly about paparazzis.
I
Mr. Depp, you see the picture of you on the lower left.
Yes.
Appears to be shirtless and wearing a crown, I believe. You see the long
Stuff
paragraph
like that.
above that starts with "in the Mark Hotel."
Ah, yes,
You see
yes,
that?
yes.
At the bottom of
The guy
that,
wearing the crown owns his own
just
island,
refresh your
Jude.
recollection that you said, "I have a lot of love inside me and a lot of anger inside me as well. If I love somebody, then I'm going to love them. If I'm angry and I've got to lash out or hit somebody, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what the repercussions are. Anger doesn't pay rent. It's got to go. It's got to be evicted." Did I read that right?
A good
Yes,
Chris
you
Christopherson
read it,
song.
right?
You did read that right, yes.
Thank you. You can take that down, Michelle, please. Now, Mr. Depp, you've also claimed that you've said before that if you want to be with a woman sexually, that she is rightfully yours, haven't you?
Ooh.
Could you repeat that?
And you've also said that with
Could you
respect-
repeat that, please?
Yeah, that if you want to be with a woman sexually, that she is rightfully yours.
That's ludicrous.
You've also said that with respect to women that you want to be with, you've remarked, "I need, I want, I take," haven't you?
Equally as ludicrous, no.
Can you pull up DX 883?
Oh, this is his response to Amber's nudie. Oh my God. They have to get it in
Like,
on
I've never
redirect
said
if
those
they are not
words.
prepared for that.
There's not enough hubris in me to say anything like that.
883.
883, Your Honor.
It's not.
DX
Is it
Oh,
empty?
It is
my
not
goodness.
admitted yet.
Okay, 883.
Text to Amber. Text to Amber.
Mr. Depp, these are text messages from you to Stephen Deuters on February 22nd, 2017, correct?
This looks nothing like me. You might have mistaken.
Mr. Depp, we can show the full unredacted. You've looked at a number of text messages in this case, and the words "him" as the identifier, that's you, correct? In every text message we've seen in this case.
Yeah, sure. It still doesn't mean it hasn't been screwed with. That's not anything that I've ever said or written.
You want to see the whole thing unredacted? We can look at that too.
No, because you could have typed it up last night. No.
I can assure you I didn't type it up last night, Mr. Depp. Your Honor, I
Typed
move
it up the night before.
883.
All right, any objection?
Objection on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
All right, well, do you want to approach for a moment? Let's take a look.
If you win this objection, you better ask for his characterization of the text to be stricken. So is there something like this, Andrea, in his you mentioned text to Amber Heard.
Just to responding
Amber
in
Heard
nudes.
sent Johnny Depp nudes when he was working on the set of The Lone Ranger, and she's got this little handwritten side on it that says, "This Texan bitch will eat you alive. I want, I need, give me what's mine."
Yeah, I remember I showed that picture censored on stream the other day. Someone sent it to me for a handwriting analysis. She had to write the letters. She had to write the letters backwards because she couldn't figure out how to flip the phone image. So the letters look really awkward because they're written inappropriately. So did he respond to that, or have we not?
All right.
Do we know?
We don't know. That was
Evidence
what I'm guessing here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Depp, you're aware that these are text messages. You can see the bottom right where it says Depp and then it has a number, 8129. Those are produced by you in this litigation. You understand that, right?
I understand that, sir.
Okay. All right, Michelle, could you please, let's take a look at the top text first. Mr. Depp, on February 22nd, 2017, you texted Mr. Duders, right, exactly. Molly's pussy is rightfully mine. Should I not just bust in and remove its hinges tonight? Did I read that right?
You read it right.
And the one beneath that, you say, I want to change her understanding of what it is like to be thrashed about like a pleading mackerel. And then in all caps, you write,
Sexy.
I want, I take.
You read it right, but I did not write that. Perhaps someone else.
You wrote
had
every
my
other
phone.
text that you produced that came from you in this litigation, didn't you?
Not necessarily. Sometimes you give your phone to people and they
Now,
text
when you
from
got
it.
off that plane,
There's
Excuse me?
from
several
Boston.
participants.
when you got off the plane
Redacted
from
out.
Boston,
Yeah.
you knew Miss Heard was
Yeah.
angry with you, didn't you?
It was pretty much a given.
Objection, calls for speculation.
And
Over.
you understood her to be angry,
You
right?
need to stop some of these
She was
useless
always
objections.
angry, yes.
And you asked Mr. Duders, same person, you can take this down, Michelle, please, thank you. Same person that you texted in that last exhibit. You asked Mr. Duders to communicate with her on your behalf, correct?
I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to explain.
You asked Mr. Duders to communicate with Miss Heard by text to speak to her about the incident, correct?
About what incident?
To speak to her about the plane flight,
The
Didn't-
plane?
the Boston plane.
The Boston plane. So you're saying that I influenced Mr. Duders. I told him that he had to write this and I told him he had to write that. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't uncommon for Mr. Duders to text, to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation.
He was your personal assistant. Mr. Duders was your personal assistant, correct?
I had two personal assistants
Right.
at the time.
He was one of them, right?
Yeah, Mr. Duders was one of them. Yes, sir.
Right, and it wasn't uncommon for you to ask Mr. Duders to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
It wasn't uncommon for any of them to communicate with Ms. Heard on my behalf if I were on set or unavailable or any of that.
Or if Miss Heard and you had a fight, you would sometimes have them to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
I think my crew caught on very quickly that
Just a yes or no,
would
Mr.
be
Depp.
necessary for them to.
No, just a yes or no. It was not uncommon after
Objection,
you and Miss
Your
Heard
Honor.
had
I'd ask that he be allowed to finish his
yes or
answer.
no question, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wasn't uncommon for you to have one of your personal assistants communicate with Miss Heard after you and her had a fight.
I disagree because you're insinuating that I had them do it and you don't know that.
After the Boston plane flight, you had Mr. Duders communicate with Miss Heard, correct?
When I'm asked what to do, I said placate her, just placate her like we always do.
And you told him, send her whatever message you need to send to
I'm
placate her,
sorry, he's
correct?
sorry, he feels bad, yes, because any other answer, it would turn into World War III.
Okay, can you pull up Exhibit 229, please?
Yeah, I get it that Molly is ecstasy, but he's talking about abusing Molly's
Your Honor,
pussy or whatever. I
think you know
don't
where
think
I'm
that's
going
an
here, and
ecstasy
based on
comment. The
Mr.
question is,
Depp's
who the fuck is
testimony, I'd ask
Molly?
him for the admission of Exhibit 229.
Your Honor, can we please approach?
Sure.
And making her quiver like a mackerel. There's no
Pleading
testimony.
mackerel. Pleading
A
mackerel.
bleeding
mackerel.
mackerel.
There's
Pleading
no
mackerel.
testimony that I'm aware of any person Johnny Depp's been involved with named Molly in this case. There are multiple recipients listed on that thing. Is that a group text? Is that from Johnny Depp? Is that from someone else? I have no idea about what that came from. Johnny seems genuinely confused about it. This is
More
an
out of
evidence
context
question.
Mr.
text.
Depp, you
The poor mackerel.
Pretty
Cover
angry.
me in your clarified butter, Johnny.
restraining order, weren't you?
It was more than anything I was hurt.
And you testified earlier this morning, you claimed that you somehow were responsible for her getting the role with Warner Brothers, correct? That's what you testified to this morning. You also tried to get her fired from Aquaman, didn't you? After the temporary restraining order.
Which question would you like me to handle first?
There's one question, sir. You tried to get her fired from the Aquaman after the temporary restraining order, didn't you?
Well, what is related to the story about me getting
It just
her-
yes or no, Mr. Depp. I don't. I
So
didn't
life
ask
does
what
not come
related,
down to
what the
yes or
story
no at all
related to.
times. I can't please you with a yes or a no every single time.
It's a yes or no question, Mr. Depp. You tried to get Ms. Heard fired, didn't you?
Answer's no.
All right, let's pull up Exhibit 821.
Is that
Mr.
me
Depp,
trying to
is
get her
this-
fired?
This is a text message that you had with your sister, Christy Dombrowski. She was the first witness in this case, right?
She doesn't work at Warner Brothers.
She-
You can't fire Amber.
This is a text message you had with her on June 4th, 2016, isn't it?
June 12th, yes.
Your Honor, move for the admission of Exhibit 821 as redacted.
Any objection?
We would object on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
I'll overrule that objection. 821 in evidence.
And on June 4th, 2016, Mr. Depp, you texted your sister, I want her replaced on that WB film. Did I read that right?
So
You did.
Her is referring to Amber, right?
I don't
That's
know.
correct.
And WB is Warner Brothers, correct?
Again, correct, yes.
And then after you sent this text to your sister, following the temporary restraining order, you reached out to Guy Silverstein to have him fire Amber, correct?
Who?
It's Greg Silverstein, I'm sorry.
I don't recall reaching out to Greg Silverstein.
You reach out to Sue Crawl to get him to
Particularly.
fire Miss Heard, right?
I had vetted Miss Heard. And I had vetted Miss Heard.
Mr. Depp, you got your chance to
Warner
speak this morning.
Brothers
Your Honor,
had, Warner Brothers
Sorry.
had two franchises.
Mr. Depp, if you could just answer the question, sir. All right, next question.
You reached out to Greg Silverstein to get him to try to get Amber fired from
Just say no.
Aquaman, didn't you?
No.
I
Asked and
reached-
answered.
Excuse me.
Asked and answered.
It's a yes or no question that he hasn't answered, yes or
All
no.
right.
Yes or no, sir? You reached out to Greg Silverstein to try to get Amber fired from Aquaman.
Say no.
Second half of your question is wrong, sir.
You
I
reached out to Sue
them
Crawl.
because I vetted her.
No, Mr. Depp. You reached out to Sue
What would
Crawl
you
to
like?
get
I
her
don't
to try to get her to help you get Amber fired from Aquaman, didn't you?
No.
And you reached out to Kevin Sujihara to try to get him to help you get Amber fired from Aquaman, didn't you?
No.
Can you pull up Exhibit 857, please?
So this is the risk of bringing Johnny Depp and having significant time to cross. Some of this stuff
Mr.
doesn't
Depp,
look
this
great.
is a text message that you sent to Christian Carino on August 15th, 2016.
None of
correct?
those people were just
This is
listed.
already in evidence, correct? Or is it 857?
Parts of it are,
Oh, so not this.
not this
Well,
version.
this can't be 857 then. Don't.
850,
Mr.
sorry.
Unbury, you can't do this to me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Understood. We'll call it 857A.
857. Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
My apologies, Your Honor. Mr. Depp, you sent this text to Christian Carino on August 15th.
I most certainly did.
Okay. And in this text that you sent to Christian Carino is the person who used to be Amber's agent and then was your agent for a time, correct?
That is correct.
And in this text, Your Honor, permission to publish, please.
You want to put in evidence
Yeah.
first?
Move for admission of
Any
857A.
objection?
No objection.
All right, 857A.
Is the question is, did he try to get her fired from Aquaman 2?
Thank you, Your Honor.
She's
And in this
begging
text,
for total
Mr.
global
Depp,
humiliation.
you said she's begging for total global humiliation. She's going to get it.
The Flappy Fish Market text.
I'm going to need your texts about San Francisco, brother.
Yep.
I'm even sorry to ask, but she sucked Mollusk's crooked dick and he gave her some shitty lawyers. I have
Elon.
no mercy, no fear, and not an ounce of emotion, or what I once thought was love for this gold-digging, low-level, dime-a-dozen, mushy, pointless, dangling, overused, flappy fish market. I'm so
The
fucking
man is
glad
an
she
artist.
wants to
What-
go
what can
to
we
fight this
say?
out. She will hit the wall hard, and I cannot wait to have this waste of a cum guzzler out of my life. I met a fucking sublime little Russian here, which made me realize the time I blew on that 50-cent stripper. I wouldn't touch her with a goddamn glove. I can only hope that karma kicks in and takes
Captain Jack wrote this
breath
text.
from her. Sorry, man, but now I will stop at nothing. Let's see if Mollusk has a pair. Come see me face to face. I'll show him things he's never seen before, like the other side of his dick when I slice it off.
Based.
Did I read that right?
You did.
Now, not long after this,
What does that have to do with him getting her
that
fired?
one.
not long after this, you met Mr. Waldman in the late summer or fall of 2016, correct?
I believe, yeah, September, October, somewhere in there, whatever.
And he's been your attorney since then, correct?
Be very careful
Yes,
here.
sir.
And you met with him with the Daily Mail in London in February 2020, didn't you?
Object.
I'm sorry, again?
You and Mr. Waldman together met with the Daily Mail in London
Object.
in February 2020, didn't you?
Object.
Are you asking me a question about my attorney and I?
Yeah,
Object.
you two met with people from the
He's
Daily
trying to
Mail
invoke
in London in
himself, I
February
think.
2020.
Assert your privilege. If they're not going to
Was that
object,
during the London trial?
No,
No?
in February.
I don't recall it, though.
Okay.
I don't.
To the extent Mr. Waldman testified that you did, you don't dispute that, correct?
I just don't recall it.
You don't disagree with Mr. Waldman's testimony that you and he met with people from the Daily
Can't
Mail?
disagree or
in February
agree
2020,
with something I don't
correct?
recall.
If that's Mr. Waldman's testimony, then.
Okay.
But I just didn't necessarily know who these people were,
Right.
I guess.
The same month that the Daily Mail released alleged tapes between you and Amber.
Objection
Correct.
calls for speculation, lack of
Alleged-
personal knowledge.
Alleged.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Now, Mr. Depp, you testified, and I wrote it down before lunch. You said, when Ms. Myers asked you something about, how does it feel to make you, or how does it feel to be here? You said, I've been living with it for 6 years and waiting to be able to get the truth out. Remember saying that?
Yes.
You also said, I've spoken up for what I've been carrying on my back. Something to that effect. You remember saying that?
Yes.
And you've claimed several times in this proceeding, Mr. Depp, that this trial is your first chance to tell your story, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
But that's just not true, is it, Mr. Depp?
no, it is.
That's not
Trying
true.
to get to UK. Trying to get to
Yeah.
UK.
No, for me, it is true.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. The fact is, Mr. Depp, when Dan Wooten wrote an article that was published in The Sun calling you a wife beater,
Mhm.
you brought a lawsuit against The Sun in June of 2018, correct?
Yes, I brought
And
a
that was 6 months before Miss Heard ever wrote her op-ed, correct?
I don't know.
And in the summer of 2020, there was a several-week trial in London against The Sun, correct?
Ms. Heard was not a party to that trial. Was she?
Not my
Or was
question,
that-
Mr. Depp. In the article that The Sun wrote that you sued over, you sued for Mr. Wooten calling you a wife beater, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustain. Next question.
And in the trial that you subsequently brought, You called a lot of witnesses, right?
I don't know what a lot is. I don't know.
Many people testified on
I
both
don't
sides.
know what
of the
many
trial,
is.
correct?
Yes, many people.
And many exhibits were introduced, correct?
Like a trial, yes.
And you, just like in this trial, you were on the stand for several days in that trial, correct?
Yes, sir, I was.
And that trial involved the same factual issues
Nope.
you are litigating here,
No.
which is whether
Nope.
you
Objection
committed
calls
domestic
for
abuse
illegal.
against Amber Heard.
Yep.
Objection, next question.
Sustain.
You
That's
brought
right.
that case against the
They
Sun.
shouldn't have objected. Let him say
because
no.
you were angry at the Sun for calling you a wife beater, correct?
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
true.
different than now.
It wasn't true.
Yeah, that's
And you
probably a
went,
pretty good reason.
and you went through that trial in London, correct?
I did indeed, yes.
Mr. Depp, you've already had a chance to tell your story, haven't you?
No, there
Objection
were
has to answer
great
your-
limitations in the UK trial.
Overruled. Okay.
No further questions.
All right. Redirect.
They are
Thank you.
objecting at some stupid fucking. Let him answer that question. No, I did not get to tell my story. Like, just let him answer that.
He's just not a great enough witness,
Ron
though,
Bourne
to
asked you some
be able
questions
to
about,
get right there.
Or he wasn't
a trial.
prepped for that or whatever. They're worried about what he's going to
Why
say.
do you feel that this is the first time that you've actually had an opportunity to tell your story and, as you said, get
Or they're going to pull it out on redirect.
As the UK trial was me suing Dan Wooten and the Sun for defamation for calling me a wife beater. The UK have different, well, there are different laws, there are different ways they handle things. There are also limitations in evidence. Some things can be brought up, some things cannot be
Your Honor,
brought
they
up.
said it calls
Mr.
for a legal
Rottenborn.
conclusion. He's
This
talking
doesn't call
about
for a legal conclusion.
Just his experience.
It's in the English.
Your Honor, he's talking about his experience
Oh,
testifying.
Overruled.
You'll be okay. Yes, there is a very, everything is quite boxed in with regard to what can be said, what can be spoken about. So, Ms. Heard provided information to the Sun as their star witness, but the case was not brought against Ms. Heard. It was brought against the Sun newspaper, journal, whatever it is.
Mr.
Fish wrap.
Rottenborn referenced that you were on the stand for multiple days.
4.5, I believe, yes.
What was the nature of that examination? Or,
All
excuse me,
cross-exam.
who was conducting that examination of you?
QC Sasha Wass,
And whose attorney was that?
the Sun.
Can we please pull up DX 857A?
All right. It's already in evidence. So you can publish it.
Mr. Depp, do you recall seeing this text message when Mr. Rottenborn was questioning you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Can you explain what you're conveying to Mr. Carino in this text message?
Displeasure.
That her vagina is literally flappy.
I'm
That's
in,
the fish market bit.
I'm in total shock that this is happening to me, that my entire life on the planet has been brought to the head of a pin with all this completely, utterly false information. So I am, when you're accused of horrific acts and things that you have not done, when it's actually some very ugly things that are going out there into the world about you on a nonstop basis by Ms. Heard and her team, you have a tendency as humans to get very, very irate and angry, not to the point where you go out and hurt someone, not to the point even where you assault a cabinet.
Some people would shoot up a
But
fish market over this.
you do get irate. You do wonder why this person is doing this to me. So yeah, many things go through your head. And then you've got your family, you've got your kids, you've got your parent. My mom, thankfully, didn't get to read any of this because that would have killed her. But my father, my family, everyone that I've met, the people that have supported me, suddenly I'm scum. Why? Never had to happen. One little lie. So yes, very angry.
Could we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 821? Mr. Depp, do you recall seeing this text message when Mr. Rottenborn was asking you questions?
Yes, he loves this one, yes.
Yes. Would you care to explain what you're trying to convey in this text message?
Well, Warner Brothers was about to find themselves in quite a dilemma as the person that they had just cast.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation as to what Warner Brothers knew or thought.
Didn't I meet with them?
All right. We could just wait for the question. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Depp, without explaining what Warner Brothers felt, why did you send this text message to your sister? And what were, strike that. What were you trying to convey to your sister when you sent this text message?
Honestly, I felt responsibility for having gone to those people and painted such a beautiful picture.
Objection. Hearsay, Your Honor. Now he's talking about what he said to Warner Brothers.
He didn't say what he said.
No.
Please continue.
Overruled.
Change seats.
So, sorry, you can continue.
I felt it was my responsibility to get the truth to Warner Brothers about what they were going to end up facing down the line, which is 2 franchises that would be causing problems for one another, especially as any news, any press, any media that came out about me at that time had been turned into, I was Charles Manson, I was the worst thing on earth, and they just kept coming. It was like a nonstop fire. So my responsibility, after having painted a beautiful picture of her for them, was to tell them,
She's a bitch.
I think you better.
Objection, Your Honor. He's getting into what he claims he told Warner Brothers or wanted to.
He's saying what he wanted to tell them. He's not saying
Not
what
being
he
offered
actually
for the
told
proof
I'll
of the
sustain
matter
objection. Next
asserted.
question.
Mr. Depp, you mentioned 2 franchise films with Warner Brothers. What 2 franchise films are you referring to?
There was Aquaman, sorry.
Aquanet.
And Fantastic Beasts, the one that I was in.
And why did you feel a responsibility with respect to those 2 franchise films?
Warner Brothers was starting to get quite upset about some of the things that were being said about me in the press that were constant hit pieces. On one level, yes, it's just acting, it's just movies, but it's business and it's your word. And I had given my word to them, and I had to I felt responsible that I had to tell them exactly what was going on, and that it was going to end up ugly.
And which of those two film franchises were you a part of?
I'm sorry.
Which of those two film franchises were you a part of?
I was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I was in the Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Could we please pull up DX 883?
This is the one somebody on Twitter has already caught. These are both incoming
No.
texts.
Mr.
to
Depp, do
Johnny.
you recall
These are
seeing
not
these
his
text
texts.
messages during
Yeah.
Mr. Ronborn's examination?
That's what I was thinking. It says incoming right on there.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
And it looks
Yes,
like
I
a group
remember.
text.
And you
Yeah.
didn't seem to recall these text messages. Is that fair?
It truly is.
They left a phone number up. They're redacting them in
It's- I
real
mean,
time.
Who knows? I don't know who Molly is. I don't know nothing about this.
Do you have any understanding of what you're referring to in this text message?
It's not
Or these two
me.
text
It's not
messages?
her.
No,
It's not him.
I honestly, if somebody else had borrowed my phone or something and made this text to Stephen, possibly,
Oh God.
but I don't understand the.
You just redacted more than one phone number.
I don't have that kind of. I don't have that kind of hubris or expectation. That's quite grotesque text.
Can we take that down, please?
Whose phone number is it?
Can
She
we
missed
please
it.
pull
She
up
missed it.
Defendant's Exhibit 1821?
Wow.
Mr. Depp, do you recognize this document?
That is behind the bar, yes.
Okay. And do you see Mr. Ronborn asked you some questions about whether there was a telephone.
Yes,
in
and now
Australia.
I see a telephone there now.
Yes. And
I do,
did you
I really
recall that
do.
telephone being there?
I don't recall the telephone being there, but I can see it now.
Can we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1820?
I can't believe they missed that.
Do you recall
The
me
text
showing you
message
this
thing.
text
It's just
message
pissing me
earlier
off.
on? Or excuse me, do you recall
Yes,
me
of
showing you
course.
this picture
Yes,
during your examination?
yes, yeah.
Okay. And I think I asked you whether you recall a phone being mounted on the wall in the left of this picture. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And what was your answer to that?
no.
Mr. Depp, Mr. Rottenborn asked you some questions about your honeymoon. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And I believe you had testified that you and Miss Heard were on the Orient Express together.
that's correct, yes.
Where had you been prior to being on the Orient Express?
We had been in Australia. And then made it over to Thailand to catch the Orient Express.
If we could bring up the Plaintiff's Exhibit 162 again.
The Rip Depp and Johnny Law stuff. He didn't lose on this issue. It's just
Mr.
frustrating
Depp,
to
do you know who
see.
took this picture?
Malcolm Connolly.
And despite what Mr. Rottenborn showed you about the picture of you prior to this, do you see a bruise on your face in this picture?
I see like what looks like a pretty decent shiner and a kind of a scratched up nose, yes.
And do you recall how you got the scratches and the shiner?
There was a very brief
Show the other
freak
photo
out that
too.
Miss Heard had in our cabin just before this dinner. I can't remember why, but there were many. I remember taking the photograph, though. I mean, I remember being there. I remember meeting the chef and all. But I mean, the quality of the photo is not great. The quality of the other photo that he showed us has been prettied up.
Mr. Depp, did you ever physically abuse Miss Heard during your relationship?
Never. Never.
No further questions.
All right, sir, you can have a seat next to your attorneys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Your
If they
next,
catch that incoming and closing, they can bring it up there.
Well, it's
Didn't
on
quite get
Twitter,
that, I'm
the
sorry.
side by sides of the text. On the text
Step
that he
calls
sent,
Morgan Tremaine.
All
it's
right.
outgoing, and
Morgan
on the
Tremaine.
on that text it says incoming. So,
Yep.
but it pisses me off because that's a point to show that Rottenborn is a slimy piece of shit, and they
Yeah.
missed it. That's what makes me so
Missed it.
fucking mad about it. It's like, no, who is it?
So pour out an odd bag of bow, more at love Freud. Spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour